Howdy folks, and welcome back to the channel. As I'm writing this, it is the 26th of September 2024, and we've just had a new Project Zomboid development update dropped in the form of the monthly Thursdoid. So as always, I'll be doing my usual and covering everything you need to know in a more digestible format. If you want to go ahead and read the blog post anyway after watching this video, there will be a link down in the description. And lastly, just before we get started, if you've been watching these updates for a while and haven't subscribed just yet, maybe consider it. About 19% of my audience are subscribed to the channel, so I'd absolutely love the chance to welcome more of you folks into the community that we've built. Oh, and if you are subscribed, our Discord is linked down in the description too. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's jump into it. So the very first thing the developers get into with this Thursdoid is some fixing of bugs and polish work. Nothing particularly flashy or exciting here, so I'll do my best to whiz through it. Included in this list are things like making the fishing process easier to follow for newer players with better messaging and feedback, fixing some bugs with body dragging as per the new animations we're expecting, improving animal pathfinding to make them act more realistically, and plenty of map testing and fixing throughout new areas being added in Build 42. Now that's just some of the things they're working on, but basically they're fixing up a lot of stuff. They acknowledge that they know this isn't anything sexy or exciting, but that it's necessary, and this is purely my speculation or interpretation, whatever you want to call it, but I'd say it's a very good sign that we're getting to the point where this sort of thing is getting rounds of polish and fixes. In my mind, this means it could be in the process of being prepared for wider testing and then release. Keep in mind that we've been told Build 42 will release this year, and that we've only got 3 more Thursdoids in that time frame, so I'd think we'll start hearing a bit more about releases in the next Thursdoid or two. That is, unless things get pushed back, which I think we're all hoping doesn't happen. Okay, so I'm jumping one section in the Thursdoid now that we'll come back to later in the favor of one of the more major announcements in this blog post. Now, have you ever played Project Zomboid and caught yourself thinking, why are there so many zombies out here in the middle of nowhere? You might be on a woodland trail or on a back road in the middle of the country, for example, and there will just be a strange amount of zombies in your vicinity. If the answer is yes, you've experienced that before, then you'll be pleased to know that a new zombie heat map is being worked up at the moment. It's still an experimental project right now, but essentially this will aim to make the zombie spawns more realistic. The developers state that if we see zombies now, it's likely that locations such as houses, businesses, or other places we can find loot will be nearby. Zombies will appear in groups more often, but spawn less on roads unless there are traffic jams or cars around. We're actually shown a video of driving the same road side by side with Build 41's system versus Build 42's new system, with the heat map in place, and you can already see a clear difference. We'll likely be tested more by this setup because it'll mean that we have to sneak around zombies a bit more when we're looting, but it'll also mean that traveling around the map is a bit easier. Essentially, random empty spaces will have less zombies and more populated areas will have more, reflecting a more realistic approach. This image we're given in the blog post shows Muldraw with the new heat map in place, the white hot areas being more populated than the grey areas, and the black areas are pretty much empty of zombie presence. Next up, we're shown some work from the art studio. The developers note here that all of the newspapers are now finalized. If you haven't seen some of those already, I'll make sure that they're on screen now. And since those are now finished, Uncanid, Verlius, and Pat are now working on in-game business flyers like this one we're shown in the blog. Aside from being a neat little piece of in-game lore, they'll serve the function of revealing new locations to players and telling them about what kind of loot they might be able to expect at said location. The idea is to give players a gentle encouragement to explore and forage for supplies at interesting new places. The team have also commissioned a bunch of new artwork that will be displayed on new screens within the game, like the multiplayer connection menu. We're shown just one of these in the dev blog, but I've got to say, this is a pretty cool piece, and I'm interested to see how many we get by the time Build 42 comes along. Okay, so alongside some of the new areas coming to the map in Build 42, we've also been shown plenty of footage and images already in the past dev blogs that are focusing on upgrading existing areas of the map in a bit of a glow up, as the developers are calling it. In this dev blog, we're given another look at a very popular location that's getting a fresh lick of paint, that being Twiggy's Bar on the outskirts of West Point. A popular base location and loot area thanks to the gun store just behind it. It looks like an outside outside terrace area has been added, a larger outdoor seating area with a bandstand, and even some fairy lights to help set the mood. The inside area has seen a complete turnaround with a slightly smaller upstairs section and the replacement of pool tables with darts boards. I collected a little clip of the interior myself here so that you guys can see the comparison. I'm not sure how popular darts is in the US either, I kind of just assumed it was mostly a European thing, but there's no denying that it's a significant upgrade. The Knob Creek Hunting Lodge has also been given the wood cabin look. Not a full overhaul by any means, but it certainly makes it look more the part now. Oh, and just for laughs I guess, they included this little shot of the Mesmer wagon and a picture of the Creature Cruiser. These are, according to the devs, an example of some of the new super rare vehicles that you might be lucky enough to find in Build 42. They then say, and I quote here, "There are multiple examples of cool surprises like this you'll come across in your travels in Build 42 that we've been dropping into the game as development has gone on." So that implies there will be much more for us to discover that hasn't and likely won't be announced. That brings us to the last piece of footage that we see in this devlog, and that's of some of the new animations we can expect our characters to complete when we have them perform actions in Build 42. The footage contains animations like washing dishes, sewing, writing a note, uncorking a bottle, and a couple more. I doubt this is all of the new animations we can expect to see, and this is probably just a teaser of a wider array of stuff that's going to be landing with Build 42. So earlier in this video I jumped forward in the blog post a bit, so now we're going back to the item I skipped earlier now that we've seen all the footage and pictures of new stuff. Right now, Project Zomboid has community translators that have allowed non-English speakers to enjoy the game. That said, the developers are aware that with an expansive update on the way and the vast amount of words that are going to be in that update, apparently over 100,000, the team feel it's necessary to move to a professional translation model. There will be full translation of 21 different languages, including the languages featured on screen now, according to the dev blog itself. This should cover the most popular player bases for Project Zomboid, and the developers note that community translations will still be accessible. Lastly, before I wrap up this video, the very final thing the developers talk about in this blog is a positive shakeup within the team with regards to organization, issue tracking, and general communications. According to the devs, between Build 41 and now, the team has grown to almost twice the size of where it was. As such, certain practices need to be changed to reflect that growth. They then provide this quote: "We know that waiting for B42 can be arduous, and that when folks point this out to us, it can feel like they are shouting into the void, but we wanted to let you know that we are listening. While the impact won't be instant when you're looking in from the outside, we are putting both processes and personnel in place that we hope will improve matters as we move forward through 42 and beyond." So that's just about it from me in this one, folks, but I hope you got everything you needed to know about this Thursdoid, and just a reminder, consider subscribing and liking this video if you watch these often. I'll keep bringing more videos about mods and other topics until we finally get Build 42, and you know I'm going to be producing all sorts of fun stuff when that update does land. Finally, I'd like to say a very special thank you to all of my Patreon supporters that continue to back my channel for £3 a month, even though things are winding down a little in the Project Zomboid world in the run-up to Build 42. Seriously, I can't thank you guys enough for doing what you do, and if you want to join these people on our Patreon whitelisted Project Zomboid server, there's a link down in the description. Thanks everyone, and I'll see you all in the next one.